Hi, my name is Grace, and I'm going to read you a story that reminds me of this week's gospel. This week in the gospel, Jesus goes onto a mountaintop with his friends Peter and John. When he's on the mountaintop, he reveals himself to them in glowing splendor. And he's next to the prophets Elijah and Moses. And after seeing Jesus like that, Peter and John's understanding of Jesus changed forever. The story I'm going to read is called My Friend Blenka. And you'll notice in the story, the narrator had a similar experience where after seeing somebody in new ways and seeing things in new ways, it changed them forever and it changed how they saw things. So, My Friend Blenka. In mid-May, I reached Kujara Peak, a Canadian city of 1,000 inhabitants on the Labrador Peninsula. On the east coast of the Hudson Bay, beside the mouth of the Great Whale River. I met Blenka, who was to be my guide for a week in those icy but marvelously beautiful lands. "Welcome to the land of the Inuits," she said, greeting me. "Thank you, Blenka. I thought it was the land of the Eskimos," I replied. "We don't much like being called Eskimos. In truth, we are Inuits, an ethnic group that has lived here for over 2,800 years in the Arctic, from the steppes of Siberia to the west of Greenland, passing through Alaska and Canada. Call us Inuits, please." During the days in which we crossed that northern land, Blenka and I had many great conversations. One morning I said to her, "Blenka, don't you find so much whiteness monotonous?" We were faced with kilometers of immaculate snow, only broken by spots of moss and some isolated rocks. "Do you then see it all as white?" she asked with a gleam in her eyes. "We see an infinite variety of whites, you know. We Inuits have over 40 words to name what you call snow. If I wanted to translate them, I would say that we have the following whites of snow: shiny, ashy, celestial, walrus reflection, young bear skin, bright morning, cloudy morning, clean dusk, dark dusk, afternoon storm, disturbed water, a light of dawn." So you understand, you just see white and you find it boring. If I just saw white, I'd find it boring too. "And this total silence?" I asked another day. "Isn't it overwhelming?" "Overwhelming?" she answered. "If it was true silence, perhaps. But it isn't. Listen carefully, and you will hear the many different whispers that the wind makes." Do you hear them? Now the wind's more powerful than a few minutes ago. And now it's not so loud. Also, have you heard the distant murmur of the ocean? Or the roar of the mother bear calling for her cub? And that noise? Far in the background. Why, that is a storm drawing near. Here we say, "How the sun shines," or "See you tomorrow," in hundreds of different tones. With this silence, I never feel alone. You said that the sun shines. How can you get used to summer days with no nights and winters with no day? "Look," she said with a fascinating smile. "Do you know what joy it is? To see the sun swinging through the sky and the earth never able to swallow it. And then just when it seems about to disappear, it rises back up, not leaving us for a moment. And this perpetual night you mentioned gives us long hours of beautiful sleep. It is as if all of nature went to sleep, dreaming of precious pasts and hopeful futures. During this darkness, the figures carved of seal bone or walrus tusks are born. The artist carves and polishes them, focused and unhurried, because he or she knows that the morning will be a long time in coming." When I returned to my country, I began to understand that beauty was different for everyone, and is perhaps best captured with the heart, and that in order to enjoy beauty, first, I must learn its language. There's only a couple pictures in this book. There you can see they're in the snow by all the whiteness. And you can see him in that picture. He's kind of looking at snow in a new way because of his experience with the Inuit. In the story, you heard lots of different ways that the Inuits used to describe the color white. Did you have a favorite? Or think of the color white. How would you describe the color white? In the story, they also listened to silence. Try listening to silence for a few minutes after you're done with this video and see if it's really silent or if maybe there's some things that you hear after all. Up by the Arctic Circle, sometimes it's sun all day, all night long. And sometimes it's dark all day and all night long, but they never ever see the sun. What are some things you think of when you think of the sun being out in daytime? And what are some things that maybe are super special only when it's dark? Now think of something that happened in your life. And think of something that maybe felt kind of big or important. How did that thing change you? Is there a way you'd like to change or grow in your faith this Lent?